Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak to you about a power that many of us overlook but is within reach, the power to be unbothered. It's not about ignoring your feelings or pretending life doesn't sting. It's about training yourself to remain anchored, unshaken, and resilient amid life's chaos. So imagine walking through storms unscathed, standing tall when others falter. That's the essence of being unbothered. And I'm here to tell you, this is a skill you can develop, a mindset you can adopt, and a life you can cultivate when it comes to truly training yourself to be unbothered. The first and most crucial lesson is understanding that your worth and confidence should never be dependent on what others think of you. That's a hard truth for many to swallow because from the moment we're born, society bombards us with messages about fitting in, pleasing others, and seeking validation. It's almost as if we're conditioned to look outward for approval, to measure our value through the lens of others' opinions. But let me tell you something powerful. If you continue to give others that much control over your emotional well-being, you will forever be at their mercy. Real confidence isn't something you find outside of yourself. It's not a badge you wear when things are going well or a trophy you earn after achieving a certain status. Confidence is a foundation you build within. It's rooted in self-awareness, self-acceptance, and a deep understanding of your inherent worth. When you start to realize that your value isn't up for negotiation, that your worth isn't dictated by the highs and lows of external circumstances, you begin to reclaim your power. Many people spend their lives chasing after approval, trying to earn validation from colleagues, friends, or even strangers. They sacrifice their peace, dim their light, and bend over backward just to be liked. But what they don't realize is that this pursuit is exhausting because it's built on a shaky foundation. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole at the bottom. You'll never feel full enough. The truth is, no matter how much praise you receive, no matter how many accolades you get, if your self-worth is tied to external validation, you will always be vulnerable to disappointment. You see, confidence that is rooted in external validation is fragile. It's like a house built on sand. It erodes with every criticism, every setback, every negative comment. But confidence that is built from within, deep, unshakable, and grounded in truth, can withstand storms. It's a fortress, not a fragile glass house. It's a knowing that, regardless of what others say or think, you are enough, you are valuable, you have a purpose that is uniquely yours, and that purpose isn't contingent upon anyone's approval. This is the mindset that begins to free you. When you understand that your worth isn't up for debate, you stop seeking validation from every passing opinion. Instead, you start to seek validation from within. You begin to develop a relationship with yourself that's rooted in honesty and kindness. You recognize your flaws without shame and celebrate your strengths without arrogance. You understand that your imperfections are part of your story, and they don't diminish your worth. They enhance it because they show that you're human. Confidence is also about setting boundaries. When you value yourself, you realize that not everyone deserves access to your peace or your energy. You stop trying to please everyone and instead focus on pleasing yourself in a healthy way. That means being honest about what you will accept and what you won't, about who you allow into your space and who you don't. It's about understanding that your peace is a priority, not an afterthought. When you stop trying to mold yourself into what others want, you give yourself the freedom to just be who you are, unapologetically. But building this internal confidence isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. You wake up and reaffirm your worth. When critics come knocking, you remind yourself that their words are a reflection of their own struggles, not your truth. You learn to listen to your inner voice, that quiet but persistent whisper that says, you are enough, even when everyone else is shouting otherwise. The more you practice this, the more resilient you become. The more you internalize the truth that your value is inherent, the less you'll be bothered by the noise of the world. Now, shifting to mastery of emotional self-control, this is where the real battle begins. Life will test you. It will throw punches in the form of criticism, betrayal, setbacks, and heartbreak. Some days it will feel like the world is against you. And in those moments, your first instinct might be to react, to lash out, to get defensive, to fall into despair. But here's where true strength is forged in how you respond. It's not in how you react. Think about it. Every time you're provoked by negativity and you choose to remain calm, you're exercising a muscle, your emotional resilience. It's like lifting weights for your spirit. The more you practice controlling your impulses, the stronger you become. When someone insults you or dismisses you, and you respond with grace instead of anger, you demonstrate mastery over your emotions. That's real power. That's the kind of strength that makes you unbothered, because you understand that their words, their actions, their opinions do not hold the power to define your state of mind. This mastery doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or pretend everything is okay. It means you acknowledge what you feel but refuse to let those feelings control you. You recognize that anger, frustration, or sadness are natural responses, part of being human, but you also understand that you have the choice to sit with those feelings without acting out of them. You choose to respond from a place of clarity, calm, and confidence. It's about developing a habit of pause, taking a moment before reacting, breathing deeply, and choosing your response intentionally. When you do this consistently, you begin to see that your emotional landscape becomes more stable. You stop being tossed by every wave of negativity that comes your way. Instead, you become the calm in the storm, the eye of the hurricane, the steady anchor that holds firm no matter how fierce the winds. Mastering emotional self-control also means not giving others the power to affect your peace. It's about realizing that your happiness and tranquility are your responsibility. When you stop giving others permission to upset you, you reclaim your emotional sovereignty. You understand that nobody has the right to steal your joy unless you allow them to. That's the essence of being unbothered, knowing that your emotional state is your own, and nobody can take it away unless you hand it over. This is a continuous journey. It's about choosing your peace every day, every hour, every moment. When someone tries to provoke you, remember that your response is your power. When negativity tries to seep in, remind yourself that your calmness is a form of rebellion against chaos, against drama, against everything that seeks to disturb your peace. You begin to see that your emotional self-control isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about cultivating a life where your peace remains intact regardless of external circumstances. You realize that the true test of confidence and emotional mastery is how you respond when you're under pressure. That's when character is revealed. That's when you either fold or stand tall. And when you train yourself to be unbothered, you deliberately choose to stand tall. You choose to remain centered, grounded in your truth, unwavering in your resolve. The world may try to shake you, but you learn to be unshaken because your confidence isn't fragile and your emotional resilience isn't fleeting. It's cultivated through consistent practice, through daily affirmations, through a deep commitment to self-awareness and self-control. Your journey to being unbothered starts with understanding that your worth is intrinsic and that your emotional strength is within your grasp. It's about shaping your mindset so that external noise becomes background music rather than a crashing storm. It's about recognizing that the real battle is within. And when you win that battle, by building unshakable confidence and mastering your emotions, you become unstoppable. Nothing can shake your peace because you've learned how to train your mind and spirit to remain unbothered, resilient, and fiercely confident in who you are. You see, the power of perspective is one of the most underestimated tools in our arsenal for becoming unbothered. It's easy to get caught up in the immediate pain, the frustration, the feeling that life is unfair, that circumstances are against us, or that the world is out to get us. But what if I told you that the way you interpret your challenges makes all the difference? That your mindset is the lens through which everything is viewed, and that lens determines whether you see obstacles as dead ends or as stepping stones. When you start to understand that your perspective is a choice, you begin to take back control over your emotional state. Most people allow their circumstances to dictate how they feel, how they respond, and how they navigate life. When things go wrong, they internalize the pain and let it fester. When criticism lands, they become defensive or discouraged. But what if you began to see setbacks not as failures, but as lessons? What if you shifted your perspective from, why me, to, what can I learn from this? That's the difference between being bothered and being unbothered. That's the difference between being a victim of your circumstances and a victor over your circumstances. It's about understanding that your mind is a powerful tool. Your thoughts are like seeds. They can grow into beautiful flowers or toxic weeds, depending on what you nurture. When negativity tries to infiltrate your mind, you have the power to choose what to focus on. Do you dwell on what's going wrong, or do you seek out the lessons hidden within the chaos? Do you magnify your problems, or do you magnify your faith and hope? Because the truth is, life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond to it. The way you view your reality can either imprison you or set you free. Think about the times when someone has criticized you, and instead of letting it define you, You chose to see it as an opportunity to grow. Maybe they pointed out a flaw, but you took that information and made it a stepping stone for improvement. Maybe someone betrayed you, but you decided to see it as a lesson in discernment. Your perspective is your superpower because it allows you to reframe pain, disappointment, and failure into fuel for your growth. When you realize that adversity is often the soil in which resilience is cultivated, you stop being bothered by it. You begin to see challenges as necessary parts of your journey, not as roadblocks, but as building blocks. This shift in perspective requires a level of awareness. You have to be honest with yourself about how you see the world and your circumstances. Are you always looking for the worst? Are you magnifying your problems and minimizing your blessings? Or are you actively choosing to see the good, the lessons, the opportunities? When you develop this awareness, you start to notice how your thoughts influence your feelings and actions. You understand that a negative thought can spiral into discouragement, but a positive or neutral thought can lead to peace and clarity. You see, being unbothered means developing a mental filter that screens out unnecessary negativity. It's about choosing to see the silver lining even when clouds are heavy. It's about recognizing that your attitude toward a situation determines its impact on your peace. When you view problems as temporary, as opportunities for growth, you stop feeling overwhelmed. When you see criticism as constructive rather than destructive, you stop feeling defeated. Your perspective becomes a shield, a tool that keeps you grounded and unbothered regardless of what life throws your way. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring reality. It's about choosing your response to reality. It's about understanding that your perception shapes your experience. When you decide to see the good, even in the midst of chaos, you shift from being a victim to being a victor. You take ownership of your emotional state because you understand that your outlook is within your control. No one can take that away from you unless you give it away. And cultivating this kind of perspective is a daily discipline. It's a conscious decision you make every morning, and every moment when negativity tries to creep in, you remind yourself that life is a series of moments, and you get to decide how you interpret each one. You train your mind to look beyond the surface, to see the lessons, the blessings, and the growth opportunities. When you focus on what you can learn rather than what's wrong, you become unbothered by the temporary setbacks because you see them as part of a bigger picture. Now, let's move into the power of boundaries, because perspective is one thing, but boundaries are the foundation that helps protect your peace and shape your narrative. When you understand your worth, you realize that not every environment, relationship, or conversation deserves your energy. Boundaries are the lines you draw to safeguard your mental and emotional space. They're not about pushing people away, but about protecting your peace and prioritizing what truly matters. Many of us carry burdens because we haven't set clear boundaries. We allow toxic relationships to drain us, negative people to influence us, and circumstances to overrun us because we haven't learned to say no. But when you understand your worth, you recognize that your peace is a priority. It's not selfish to protect your mental space. It's necessary. It's about understanding that your emotional well-being is a gift, not something to be sacrificed for the comfort of others or to avoid confrontation. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love and self-respect. It's about being honest with yourself and others about what you will and won't accept. When you draw those lines, you communicate to the world that your peace matters. You stop being a people pleaser and become a peace pleaser. You understand that not everyone deserves access to your heart, your time, or your energy, and that's okay, because when you do this, you begin to control your environment instead of letting your environment control you. Boundary setting isn't always easy. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable because it challenges the status quo or your desire to be liked. But real strength is found in those moments when you choose your peace over comfort. It's in those moments when you say no, not out of anger or spite, but out of clarity and conviction. Every boundary you establish is a brick in the fortress of your peace. It's a declaration that you are serious about your well-being and that your emotional health is a priority. And the more you practice setting boundaries, the easier it becomes. It's like building muscles. You strengthen them over time. You learn to listen to your intuition and honor it. You become more aware of what affects your peace and more confident in protecting it. When others see that you mean what you say, they respect your boundaries. They understand that your peace isn't up for negotiation. And you become less bothered by the opinions or actions of others because you've created a safe space within yourself. Remember, your boundaries are a reflection of your self-worth. They tell the world how to treat you. When you stand firm in your boundaries, you're making a statement that you value yourself enough not to accept anything less than respect and peace. And that's when you start to live unbothered, because you've taken control of your environment and your emotional state. You've learned that peace isn't something that just happens. It's something you create through your choices, your mindset, and your boundaries. So keep in mind that perspective and boundaries are intertwined. Your outlook on life influences how you set boundaries, and your boundaries shape what you allow into your life. Together, they form a powerful shield that keeps you centered and unbothered. When you master these two areas, you step into a space of true strength, a space where external chaos no longer has the power to disturb your peace. You begin to see that your life is your story, and you get to write it with intention, purpose, and unshakable confidence. There's something about understanding your purpose that shifts everything. When you truly grasp why you're here, what you're meant to do, and who you're called to become, it changes the way you see obstacles, failures, and even setbacks. Purpose isn't just a lofty idea for a few. It's the very foundation of your unbothered life. Because once you know your purpose, nothing external can easily shake you. You walk with a confidence rooted in clarity, and that confidence is contagious. It begins to radiate from within, illuminating your path and inspiring everyone around you to discover their own calling. But understanding your purpose requires you to do some deep soul searching. It's about listening beyond the noise of society, beyond the expectations of friends or family, beyond the fears that try to whisper, "You're not enough." It's about silencing the doubts and tuning to that quiet voice within that keeps whispering, "There's more for you. There's a reason you're alive." When you begin to listen to that voice, you start to realize that your life is not an accident, but a divine appointment. That your pain, your struggles, your victories, they all have a purpose. And that purpose is what propels you forward even when the road gets tough. So knowing your purpose doesn't mean the journey will be easy. There will be moments when you feel lost, confused, or even tempted to give up. But purpose is like a compass. It always points you back home. It reminds you of why you started and why you can't stop. When you are clear about your why, it becomes easier to ignore the distractions, dismiss the doubts, and keep moving forward. Purpose fuels perseverance because it's rooted in something bigger than temporary setbacks. It's about trusting that every challenge is an opportunity to refine your character, to sharpen your skill, and to grow stronger. Many people spend years chasing success without ever really understanding their purpose. They acquire titles, possessions, and accolades, but deep down they feel unfulfilled. They've built someone else's dream instead of their own. That's why purpose is so vital. It's the blueprint for your life, the map that guides your every step. When you walk in your purpose, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You wake up with passion because you know what you're fighting for. You become resilient because you understand that your purpose is worth every sacrifice. It's that inner fire that keeps burning even when the external circumstances are cold and discouraging. Discovering your purpose is also about surrendering to your divine design. It requires humility because it means accepting that you don't have all the answers, that you need guidance beyond your own understanding. It's about trusting the process, even when the path seems unclear or the progress slow. Sometimes, purpose is revealed gradually, like a puzzle coming together piece by piece. Other times, it's illuminated suddenly, like a light switching on in the darkness. Either way, it's a journey of faith. Faith in yourself, faith in your creator, faith in the unseen. Because when you trust that your purpose is already within you, waiting to be uncovered, you stop chasing after things that don't truly satisfy. Living in your purpose isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. It's about waking up each day with a sense of intentionality, knowing that your life matters and that your work, your voice, your presence has significance. Purpose anchors you in the chaos, gives you clarity amid confusion, and keeps you grounded when everything around you seems to be shifting. It's what makes you unbothered because you're no longer swayed by the opinions of others or the fleeting trends of society. You know who you are, why you're here, and what you're called to do. That understanding becomes your shield and your sword, empowering you to stay steady when storms come. And when you walk in your purpose, you also become a source of inspiration to others. Your life becomes a testament that purpose is possible for everyone. It's not reserved for a select few. It's available for anyone willing to seek it, embrace it, and walk in it. When you live authentically, unapologetically, and purposefully, You show others that their lives matter just as much. You become a beacon of hope for those still searching, a reminder that no matter how dark the night, dawn always follows. Your purpose isn't just about personal fulfillment. It's about making a difference, impacting lives, and leaving a legacy that outlives your time here. Sometimes, the greatest challenge in walking in your purpose is overcoming the fear of failure. But what if failure was simply a part of the process? What if setbacks were actually setups for a greater comeback? When you understand that mistakes are not the end, but merely lessons in disguise, you stop fearing failure and start embracing growth. You realize that every stumble, every fall is an essential part of your development. Because purpose isn't about perfection, it's about perseverance. It's about showing up even when you're scared, even when you're uncertain, because you know that your destiny is worth fighting for. Living purposefully also means aligning your actions with your values. It's about making choices that reflect who you are at your core, not just what's convenient or popular. It's about integrity, doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Because when you operate from a place of authenticity, your life becomes a reflection of your inner truth. And that truth is what makes you unbothered. When you know who you are and why you're here, external opinions and temporary circumstances can't shake your confidence. You become unshakable because your purpose is anchored in the divine, and nothing can sever that connection. As you continue to pursue your purpose, remember that it's a journey, not a destination. It's a continuous unfolding, a daily discovery of new layers within yourself. Sometimes purpose reveals itself in small moments, an encouraging word, a new opportunity, a quiet whisper in your spirit. Other times it comes in a roar, demanding your full attention. But no matter how it shows up, hold onto it tightly, because purpose is the seed that, when cultivated with faith, perseverance, and love, blossoms into a life that leaves a legacy. Your purpose isn't just about what you do. It's about who you become in the process. It's about developing the character, resilience, and grace necessary to carry the weight of your calling. It's about becoming the person who can handle success without losing their soul, who can face failure without losing faith. When you walk in purpose, your life becomes a living testimony of hope and divine design. It's about waking up every day knowing that you're here for a reason, and that reason is bigger than your fears, doubts, or limitations. Purpose is your divine inheritance, your birthright, and once you claim it, no obstacle can stand in your way because you're walking in alignment with your divine plan. You see, purpose isn't just a destination, it's a lifestyle. It's a way of viewing the world through eyes of faith and hope. It's about waking up with gratitude and going to bed with a sense of fulfillment because you've lived intentionally and authentically. Purpose pushes you beyond comfort zones and invites you into growth zones. It challenges you to be better, do better, and serve better. And when you do that, you become unbothered by the opinions of others, unbothered by failures, and unbothered by setbacks because you know that your life is part of something greater. You recognize that your purpose is not just about you. It's about the impact you leave behind. It's about the lives you influence, the love you give, and the legacy you build. So keep seeking, keep dreaming, and keep walking in your purpose. Every step you take in faith, no matter how small, is a step toward the life you were created to live. Trust that the divine has prepared a path that's uniquely yours. And as you align your heart with that purpose, you'll find that nothing can truly disturb your peace because you're walking in your divine design, unbothered and unstoppable.